listener in Australia. When you were chatting with that AI and expressed your skepticism about AI's role in a world grappling with climate change, it really struck a chord with us. So we're diving deep into the intersection of AI and the concept of degrowth for you today. It's a bit of a puzzle, isn't it? Can we use this technology known for boosting productivity to actually help us consume less?
You've hit on a really important tension there. The AI even used the analogy of a runaway train when you were chatting, right? That feeling of things moving too fast, maybe even recklessly.
Exactly. It's like we're so focused on making the AI train go faster and faster that we haven't figured out if we're even on the right tracks.
And that's precisely where this idea of using AI for sustainability comes in.
Hmm.
What if we could use AI to help us design a future where we consume less but live better?
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this. So how do we actually put this idea into practice?
Let's take renewable energy, for example. You mentioned in your notes that you're fascinated by how AI can optimize energy grids. It's not just about making solar and wind power more efficient, it's about making them more predictable. Imagine an AI system that can analyze real-time weather data, predict energy demand down to the neighborhood level, and even anticipate equipment failures before they happen.
So it's like giving the entire grid a sixth sense, almost like it can anticipate the future.
Exactly. And that level of foresight allows us to rely more heavily on renewable energy sources, reducing our dependence on fossil fuels. We're already seeing some really cool implementations of this in places like Germany and California. They're using AI to balance energy supply and demand in real time, smoothing out the bumps that come with intermittent renewables.
That's amazing. It's like having a conductor for the entire energy orchestra, ensuring everything runs smoothly.
And let's not forget about agriculture, another area you mentioned wanting to explore in your article. AI-powered precision farming is already changing the game. We're talking about sensors that monitor individual plants, drones that scan fields for pests and diseases, and algorithms that fine-tune irrigation and fertilizer application.
From what I've read, this goes way beyond the traditional approach of just treating an entire field the same way.
Absolutely. It's about tailoring everything to the specific needs of each plant. This means less water waste, fewer chemical inputs, and higher yields, which is a win-win for both farmers and the environment. There's a company in Israel that's using AI to analyze microclimates within vineyards, optimizing irrigation, and even predicting the ideal harvest time for each grape variety.
That's incredible. It's like giving each plant its own personal spa treatment. And what about the impact on wildlife?
You're thinking about AI for conservation, right? That's another area where things are getting really interesting. Think about using drones equipped with AI-powered image recognition to monitor wildlife populations in remote areas. They can track animal movements, identify poachers, and even detect signs of habitat degradation. It's like having an army of tireless, watchful guardians for endangered species.
So we're talking about taking the concept of eyes in the sky to a whole new level, right?
Exactly. And these AI systems can analyze massive amounts of data that would be impossible for humans to process manually, giving us insights into animal behavior and ecosystem health that we've never had before. There's a project in Kenya that's using AI to track elephant movements, helping to prevent human-wildlife conflict and protect these magnificent creatures.
Okay, so we've seen how AI can help with energy, agriculture, and conservation. It sounds almost too good to be true. Are there any downsides to all of this?
Well, as you pointed out in your conversation with the AI, every powerful tool can be used for good or for ill, and AI is no exception.
So where do we see those potential downsides emerging? I know you mentioned fast fashion as one area of concern.
That's a great example. AI is being used in the fashion industry to personalize recommendations, predict trends, and optimize production. On the surface, that might sound like a good thing, right? More efficient production could mean less waste.
But I have a feeling there's a catch here.
There is. The problem is that AI can also be used to fuel overconsumption. By tailoring recommendations to our individual preferences and bombarding us with personalized ads, AI can actually make us buy more stuff than we need. And that's a recipe for disaster when it comes to the environment.
So it's like AI is playing both sides of the coin here. It can help us produce things more efficiently, but it can also tempt us to consume more than ever before. It seems like finding that balance is going to be crucial.
Absolutely. And that's where the concept of degrowth comes in. It's not just about using AI to do things better. It's about using AI to help us rethink our entire relationship with consumption.
So it's not just a technological fix, it's a societal shift as well.
Exactly. It's about moving away from the idea that more is always better and embracing a more minimalist, sustainable way of life. And AI can play a role in that transition by helping us understand the true costs of our consumption design products that last longer and create more circular economies where waste is minimized.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together. We have this incredibly powerful tool in AI, and the question is, can we harness that power to create a future that's both prosperous and sustainable?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a question that you, our listener, are grappling with as you prepare to write your article. So let's dive a bit deeper into the arguments for and against using AI for degrowth.
Sounds good to me. Let's unpack those different perspectives.
I was rereading your notes about your AI chat, and it seems like you're particularly interested in those who believe AI could be key to solving the climate crisis.
Definitely. It's tempting to think that technology can swoop in and save the day, but is that just wishful thinking or is there real potential there?
It's not as simple as a yes or no answer. There are some compelling arguments for why AI could be a powerful tool for decoupling economic growth from resource consumption. Think back to the examples we discussed earlier. AI optimizing transportation systems could mean we rely less on fossil fuels without giving up our freedom to move around.
Right. And we talked about the potential for AI in renewable energy and sustainable agriculture as well. Those seem like pretty clear wins for the environment.
Exactly. And we haven't even touched on the potential for AI to create a more circular economy. Imagine using AI to design products that are easier to repair and disassemble, optimizing recycling processes, or even predicting which materials will be most valuable in the future.
So it's not just about reducing consumption, it's also about using resources more wisely and eliminating waste. AI could help us shift from a linear take-mate-dispose model to a more circular system where resources are constantly being reused and repurposed.
Precisely. Now, of course, it's important to acknowledge the other side of the coin. The more cautious perspectives you also mention wanting to explore for your article. There are valid concerns that relying too heavily on technological solutions like AI could distract us from the need for deeper systemic change.
That makes sense. It's like we're so focused on finding the perfect technological band-aid that we forget to address the underlying wound. Are we just avoiding the hard conversations about changing our consumption patterns, addressing inequality, and reforming our economic systems?
That's a core concern for many critics. They worry that this focus on AI as a silver bullet might lead to a kind of technological optimism that prevents us from making the difficult but necessary societal and political shifts. It's not enough to simply optimize our current systems. We need to fundamentally rethink how we live and consume.
And I imagine some people are concerned about the unintended consequences of AI as well. Even with the best intentions, things can go wrong.
Yeah. Absolutely. One concern is that AI could be used to further concentrate power and wealth in the hands of a few. If the development and deployment of AI is driven primarily by profit, it could exacerbate existing inequalities and create new ones.
So it's not just about the technology itself. It's about who controls it and who benefits from it. We need to make sure that AI is developed and deployed in a way that benefits all of humanity, not just a select few. This all feels very nuanced and there is a lot to think about. How can our listener in Australia engage with this conversation in a meaningful way? They mentioned wanting to write an article about all of this.
Writing that article is a great way to start. I think it's important to present a balanced perspective, just as we've been doing here. Highlight the incredible potential of AI for sustainability, but also acknowledge the potential risks and the need for careful consideration.
It's not about being pro-AI or anti-AI. It's about being pro-planet and pro-humanity, and understanding how AI can help us achieve those goals.
Well said. And remember, this is a complex and evolving issue. There are no easy answers. But by engaging in open and honest dialogue, we can work towards a future where AI contributes to a more sustainable and just world.
So where do we even begin to untangle all of this? It seems so complex.
Well, first and foremost, stay informed. Reading articles following experts in the field and engaging in thoughtful discussions just like you're doing by listening to this deep dive. The more we understand about the potential and pitfalls of AI, the better equipped we'll be to shape its development.
Knowledge is power, as they say. But what about taking action? What can people actually do to make a difference?
Don't be afraid to ask critical questions. When you hear about a new AI application, ask yourself, what are the environmental implications? Who stands to benefit? Are there alternative solutions that might be more sustainable? It's about being discerning consumers of technology, not just blindly embracing every new gadget or app.
So much of this feels out of our control, though. How can we as individuals actually influence something as big and powerful as the tech industry?
You're right that individual actions can sometimes feel small, but they can collectively add up to real change. And there's also the power of collective action. Use your voice to advocate for policies and regulations that promote responsible AI development. Support organizations working to ensure that AI is aligned with our sustainability goals.
So it's about individual action, but also collective action to influence the bigger picture. It's about voting with our wallets, our voices, and our votes.
Absolutely. The future of AI is not predetermined. It's up to us to shape it in a way that benefits both humanity and the planet.
I love that. And, as we're talking about shaping the future, it makes me think about something you mentioned earlier, this idea of using AI to rethink our economic systems entirely.
Right. We've mainly been talking about how AI can be used as a tool within our current economic framework. But what if we could use it to help us design and implement entirely new models? Models that prioritize well-being and sustainability over endless growth.
That's a pretty radical idea, isn't it? Could AI actually help us break free from the traditional growth at all cost mentality?
It's certainly a provocative thought. Imagine using AI to model different economic scenarios, exploring the potential impacts of policies like a carbon tax or a universal basic income. We could use it to test out different approaches and see how they would affect things like resource consumption, social well-being, and environmental impact.
So it's like using AI to create a giant simulator for our economy, helping us to understand the complex interactions between economic activity, social well-being, and environmental sustainability. We
Got
could
it.
use it to find the most sustainable path forward.
Exactly. AI could help us move beyond the simplistic debates about growth versus degrowth and into a more nuanced conversation about how to create an economy that thrives within planetary boundaries.
It's like using AI to help us imagine and design a future that's both prosperous and sustainable. And speaking of imagining the future, that brings us back to our listener in Australia who is working on their article.
Yes. As they delve into this topic, I think there's a really powerful question they might want to consider. If AI could be programmed with a deep understanding of ecological limits, could it help us design a truly sustainable future?
That's a fantastic question to ponder. It really challenges us to think about the role of AI, not just as a tool for solving existing problems, but as a catalyst for reimagining our relationship with the planet.
And it brings us back to that core idea of finding the right tracks for the AI train, as your AI chatbot put it. It's about seeing AI not as a threat or a savior, but as a powerful force that we need to guide wisely and ethically.
It's about recognizing that the future is not predetermined. It's up to us to shape it, and AI can be a valuable partner in that journey.
It really is about using AI to broaden our perspective, to help us see beyond the limitations of our current thinking. Who knows, maybe AI can even help us come up with entirely new economic models that we haven't even conceived of yet.
That's a thought-provoking idea.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're asking AI to be not just a tool, but a collaborator in designing a better future.
Exactly. And I think that's a crucial point to emphasize. We need to move beyond the fear-mongering and hype surrounding AI and start thinking about how we can actively shape its development and deployment to align with our values.
So it's not about being controlled by AI or letting it run wild, but about using it as a partner in creating a world that works for everyone, both humans and the planet.
Precisely. And that's where the real work begins. It's about asking tough questions, having difficult conversations, and making conscious choices about how we want to use this powerful technology. It's about ensuring that AI development is guided by ethical considerations and a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of our world.
It sounds like we need a whole new way of thinking about progress, not just in terms of technological advancement, but in terms of human well-being and ecological balance.
I think you're right. And maybe, just maybe, AI can help us find that new definition of progress. It can help us to see the world in new ways, to understand the complex interconnections between our actions and their consequences, and to make choices that lead to a more sustainable and equitable future.
That's a hopeful thought, and I think is a perfect note to end on. So to our listener in Australia, as you work on your article, remember that the conversation about AI and degrowth is just beginning. Keep exploring those different perspectives, keep asking those critical questions, and keep pushing for a future where technology serves humanity and the planet.
I couldn't have said it better myself. The future is in our hands, and it's up to us to use all the tools at our disposal, including AI, to create a world that we can all be proud of.
Well said. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating and complex world of AI and degrowth. We hope this conversation has sparked some new ideas and inspired you to think critically about the role of technology in shaping our future. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving.